Hello everyone, my name is Dorian and welcome to Monza. We are with the Ferrari 488 GT3 and it's only appropriate we'll use an Italian car on an Italian track. And I'm just going to show you guys the lap real quick and then we're going to go over it corner by corner. This applies for a VRS and Fanatec GT3 Fix series. So enjoy it. If you did, leave a like, and if you want to see more of it, subscribe to the channel. Let's get on the track. Okay, so we're coming up to turn number 1. Let's look for a braking point. First thing you want to know is never exceed around 60% brake pressure with this car. Other cars I might go for more, but you really have to manage the front tire temps. The brakes are really good. 60% is hard on the brakes with this car. You don't want to kick in the ABS or as little as possible, so you got to stay at around 60%. We're gonna brake earlier than what's possible for all of the corners, just to maintain the front tire temps. The track is boiling hot this week, so it's going to be a little difficult. You got to keep that in mind. We're going to brake quite a bit before the 150, so if you have this bush here as it merges with my pillar here, then I'm going to start braking right around here, peaking at around 65%, releasing it very quickly, staying at around 45-50% for the duration, trying to slow the car down, downshifting, and I'm going to try to use as much of the track as possible here on the left, just putting my left tires on the white line. Just put it in second, and as I put it in first, I'm gonna downshift. As I turn in the car, I'm gonna downshift into first. Our turn-in point is right around here. Not a real good indication here. You really have to figure it out for yourself. So just downshift into first, trying to get the rotation done late, because if you try to get it done early, you're gonna get a penalty here. You can't rotate the car too early. You're just gonna have a 1.2 second penalty, and that's gonna screw up your lap and maybe your race. Trail braking all the way into the curb. I'm gonna show you the angle from the outside, show you exactly how much I'm using here. And as the car kind of dismounts, I'm gonna release the brakes, dab of the throttle just a tiny bit to maintain some stability. So you can see this corner is now pretty open, so I can take advantage of that and try to carry a little more speed into it. Trailing the brakes again and trying to put my left tires right on this sausage curb right here on the orange stuff. And as I do, I'm going to start accelerating back out again very, very gently. You'll see me just squeezing the throttle as I open up the wheel, very hesitant, very patient, and using all of the curb on the way out. Let's take a look at it from the outside for a sec. You can see how much of the curb I'm actually using, how late I'm trying to enter it. So if you try to enter a little earlier and maybe put your right side of the car right around here, you will get a penalty. And that's also going to give me a lot of rotation, so the curbs really help rotate the car. 2 wheels on the sausage curb. Don't put it on the green stuff here. That will upset the car way too much. Anytime you hit the curbs here, you really want to give it a little bit of throttle, the bigger ones, the ones with the sausages and whatnot. So you're gonna have to keep that in mind. Now from this point on, I'm just gonna stick to the right and take the shortest route possible. You can see how important it is to me to just stay on the right. I'm even clipping the grass. That's actually gonna give you a little bit of time, so you really have to focus on that. Don't let the car run wide there. Now we're gonna start braking as we go under this bridge, but a better indication will be the orange paint here. And I'm looking at it and I sort of know when I need to brake, so I'm gonna brake well before it. And I'm gonna peak again at around 60%, hold it at around 50, 45 for the duration. I'm not trying to burn up the tires, I'm trying to maintain the heat. So I'll have plenty of turn in for the chicane here. I'm going to start turning the car as I put it in seconds, so right around here. And as I do, I'm going to release the brakes more and more, trail brake. And I'm already going to be on the power, so right on these curbs here, the car really bounces, so you have to put a lot of throttle in to maintain stability, to make sure the car settles down as early as possible. And I'm going to use a ton of this curb. I'm going to put almost all of the car on it. I'm going to show you the outside in a sec. Already at 40%, squeezing it to around 50. Taking it almost to flat out. You can see I'm opening up the wheel now. I got the wheel straight, and this corner is quite open. I'm not dragging the car all the way into the outside of the first part of the chicane. I'm trying to open up this corner as much as possible. And as I rotate the car, I'm going to lift again. Get some extra rotation done early, so I can be very aggressive on the way out. As it lands, back on the power, 100%. I'm never leaving the throttle as I mount these curbs, and I'm using all of the track that's available to me on the way out. If you got a straight wheel here, if you clip the dirt here, not a big problem. If you clip the gravel, I mean. Again, let's take a look at it from the outside, because it's just vital how much of these curbs you're going to use. You can see I'm taking the car all the way to the left here. And I'm pretty much, I don't have my right tires on the road anymore. All of the car is on the curb at this point. That's going to open up this corner as much as possible, the exit, I mean. And you can see I'm just bouncing all over the place. The car is fully in the air at this point. And that's the fastest way you do Monza. Now, coming in to the Lesmos. So Lesmos are quite tricky because you don't really have a braking point that's going to tell you exactly when you need to brake. If it's sunny out, I've noticed that this shade doesn't really change, this shade from the tree. So you can use it as an indication, but don't get too used to it, because if it's cloudy, then you're not going to have that. So you're going to have to figure out exactly where you want to brake. But this shade is a really good indication in terms of positioning. Now, peaking around 35%, you really just want to trail the brakes all the way into this corner. You want to turn in late and slowly, and that you're going to see that in a few other corners as well. You want a late apex here. Our apex is the orange paint right around here, so it's coming up. You can see I'm already on the power. This orange paint, I'm kind of pointing the car towards it and shooting out of it. So you can see I'm starting to accelerate very slowly. Very quickly, I mean. So very quick acceleration, because the car is quite stable. If you were slow on the entry, the back end isn't going to kick out, and you want to point towards this apex. If you do, the car is just going to stick, and you're not going to have too much understeer on the way out. You'll be able to open up the wheel nice and slowly, and you won't get an off track. About as much as you want to use it at this point. Other than that, you will get an off track. We're gonna brake here for the second Lesmo well before the 50. Just as a precaution, you really want to set up the car for the exit here, because you have a huge straight uphill after that, peaking around 50% for a millisecond, and then very quickly down to 40%, and now trail braking into third gear. And I know a lot of people don't want to fully mount this curb. They say it upsets the car too much. But I've discovered, specifically with this car as well, that if you use plenty of throttle when you mount it, it doesn't get upset as much. You can see I'm clipping this apex quite a lot. And as I dismount, I'm already back at 100%. Now, the car got pushed out a little too wide for me here, so I had to correct it at the last second. And that kicked the back end out, so I had to catch it. It did cost me a tiny bit of time, but it wasn't too bad. You really want to try to avoid the off track here. In a race, it's almost inevitable that you'll get a few here, but in qualifying, you really have to be careful. Now, climbing uphill here, and we're gonna start braking. I would say, well, we have this shade, but don't use that. Use the orange paint, that's more consistent. So slightly before that, all the way from 6th into 3rd gear, if I remember correctly. Again, only peaking around 50%. This is a shallow peak. This is where the turn-in matters the most. If you burn up the front tires here by using 65-70%, you will have a very bad time. You will not be able to turn the car in, and you will lose a ton of time on this segment. And we're gonna take the car slightly to the right here, use the curb on the way in, turn in right at the 50. As we do, we're gonna release the brakes, turn in quite early. I don't have a lot of speed in the car right now, which is perfect. It's exactly what you want because we're gonna cut this curb like crazy, and I'm gonna show you the outside angle in a second. So you can see I'm already back on the power, anticipating the instability that might occur, and that will stabilize the car very nicely. And as I dismount, back on the power, no hesitation, because the car is nice and stable. And I'm trying to stay on the left slightly here. Don't go too early to the right, because that will shut in on you, and it will make your life a little more difficult. We're going to show you the outside angle after we finish it. And I'm going to lift here, just to stick to the right. Make sure the car is nice and planted before I set myself up for the exit. So a small lift to around 60-65%. Making sure the car is planted to the right and back to 100%. Upshifting into 4th and staying flat out. Oh, it's a very late upshift. Yeah. So I probably should have upshifted a tiny bit earlier, but it didn't really make a difference, I think. Upshifting into 4th right on the curb, that is, and 2/3 of the car on the curb again, flat out. Don't let go of the throttle. That's what saves you. And go all the way to the outside. Even if you clip this crash just a tiny bit, but you have a straight wheel, not a big deal. A little bit more than that, though, would be an off track, so keep that in mind. Again, taking a look at it from the outside. Let's see how much of the curbs I'm actually using. So we got about, yeah, I would say almost the full car width is on the curb here. We are using the sausages here as well. The throttle kind of saves us. Taking the car to the right, lifting a little bit, hugging the curb all the way to the right. And on the left-hander, about half the car on the curb. And you're through. Now, palm corner. Well, you really have to compromise your braking point here and brake early, because you can brake quite late, just to make sure you got a nice stable car on the exit. So we're going to brake right at this white line. You can technically brake at the 100 with GT3s and still make it into the corner, but you lose a ton of time on the exit. So we're going to brake right at the white line. Around 50-55% peak, staying at around 50% for the duration. Downshifting all the way into 3rd. You can see how slowly I'm rotating the car here. I'm just taking it very, very easy because my apex is quite late. This is your apex. Basically the marshal stand here that they can observe from above and give you penalties. And you want to use that as an apex, and as soon as we cross it, I'm going back to the power nice and gradually, so to around 60%, and squeezing it all the way back to 100, because if you try to be too abrupt, you lose the rear end, or you'll get understeer, and you lose a crap ton of time on the exit. Taking the car all the way to the outside, you can use the green stuff a little bit, not a big deal. But as the car kind of gets planted again and starts pushing you wide, go back to the inside and take a nice short route all the way to the start-finish line. And that will give us a 148.224. I hope you guys enjoyed this track guide. If you did, please leave a like. And if you want to see more track guides and race videos and other tutorials, then subscribe to the channel. Also, let me know in the comments what you think. Always awesome to see what you write there. And hop over to my Discord as well. See you guys in the next video. Bye-bye.